Very little is known about the ancient civilizations of the world due to the fact that we haven't found much recorded history from that long ago. A lot of the things that we think we know are in fact just theories and ideas from the artifacts we have found in the places where these ancient civilizations used to thrive. In this video, you will learn about Mesopotamia, which is located in present-day Middle East, ancient Egypt, the Indus River Valley civilization located in the Middle East as well, and finally ancient China. All of these great civilizations were settled at the same time.
What you doing in the club
Mesopotamia was first settled in 5000 BC when the Sumer moved in and started planting crops and began farming the land. Unlike many of the other ancient civilizations, Mesopotamia was the melting pot of various cultures, whose only real bond was their script, their gods, and their attitude towards women. Mesopotamians had a strong belief in hell, which many other civilizations didn't seem to focus on as much. This may be an explanation for why they treated women and the people at the bottom of their social hierarchy so well. A good example of how Mesopotamians treated everyone well was their social rankings. Although the king and the priests were at the top like many civilizations in those times, the commoners, which were the working classes, and the slaves, which were the lowest rank, were generally treated very well. In the middle of the social ranking were scribes and merchants. The scribes were usually the sons of wealthy and the most educated in the society. The merchants and artisans produced the wealth and kept the society going. The artisans and merchants in the Mesopotamia were skilled and created many items like the wheel, sailboats, jewelry, mosaics, and vases. They also made many musical instruments, such as the harp, various drums, and the reed pipe. The economy was not based on items created by the artisans and merchants, though. The economy in Mesopotamia was based on agriculture, where they used an irrigation system that they built to get water from the rivers and grow crops. It was also highly dependent on trade. Due to their lack of natural resources, they used the goods that were created by the craftsmen, bakers, weavers, and artisans to trade with. Mesopotamia is known as the cradle of civilization, but some scientific communities of Egyptologists, anthropologists, and archaeologists believe that the Nile River civilization, present-day Egypt and Ethiopia, is the real cradle of civilization.
So, hey, maybe we can make it.
Ancient Egypt is believed to have been the cradle of civilization because the concept of social order and the concept of an organized society came out of the Nile Valley civilization before there was any other society known to man functioning in any other place in the world. Unlike the Mesopotamian social classes, the Egyptian social class did not believe in or partake in the action of treating their lower classes with dignity or respect. The lower classes consisted of craftsmen, farmers, slaves, and a marginalized group. Even though these lower classes didn't obtain much respect from the hierarchy, they contributed a lot to the empire. In ancient Egypt, agriculture was the main source of wealth. Therefore, a lower class, like farmers, were contributing to the popular wealth that the hierarchy displayed. While in the context of displaying, we should also mention and give fact that the ancient Egyptians were masters of trade and sailed along the Nile River. They had precious resources like gold, papyrus, linen, and grain. The Egyptian pharaohs, who had absolute control of the empire because that was their form of government, were known for showing off their gold and especially their arts. Egyptian arts were amazing. The Egyptians painted with two basic colors, which were obtained from organic sources. White pigment was produced from crushed bone or ivory. Black pigment was created from the soot produced by oil lamps or by roasting crushed ivory. Ancient Egypt art was developed in the 2nd or 3rd dynasty in Egypt from 3000 BC. Animals were highly symbolic and so were colors. Red skin implied youth, whereas yellow skin was used for women or middle-aged men who worked indoors. Size was also symbolic in ancient Egypt, as pharaohs were seen drawn very large to depict their superhuman powers. To display some of the most complex and definitely ahead of its time architecture, the ancient Egypt carefully planned all their work in crafty ways towards the pyramids. Ancient Egyptian architects used sun-dried and kiln-baked bricks, fire sandstone, limestone, and granite. Built during a time when Egypt was one of the most powerful civilizations in the world, the pyramids were built in ancient cities in Egypt. Memphis, which was the ancient capital, one of the earliest known Egyptian pyramids, are found in Saqqara, northwest of Memphis. The most famous and found in great cities like Giza. Memphis is found now in South Cairo on the west bank of the Nile River. Memphis was like was the ancient capital for 8 dynasties. The great city of Giza, where the Great Pyramids are found, in present-day outskirts of Cairo in modern time. The pyramids in these profound locations are part of ancient Egypt's great history. The hieroglyphics were a big imprint in ancient Egypt's history. Hieroglyphics are one of the first intellectual writing systems that combine logographic and alphabetical elements. The first known hieroglyphics were found during excavations at Hierakonpolis, modern-day Qam el-Ahmar, which has been dated to 3200 BC. During the same period of time at the Far East of the Silk Road, the Chinese were developing a unique and intelligent writing system with an alphabetical script that used characters instead of pictures. 3 religions that were most popular: Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. In China, people worship a lot of different gods, weather gods and sky gods, and also a higher god who ruled over the gods, called Shang Tai. People who lived during the Shang dynasty also believed that their ancestors, their parents and grandparents, became like gods when they died, and that their ancestors wanted to be worshipped too, like gods. Each family worshipped their own ancestors. In ancient China, Chinese people traded fish, salt, iron, cattle, and silk. The Chinese were excellent traders and merchants. The Chinese and the Silk Road was a route where traders could exchange goods in other parts of ancient East. The farmers grew barley, wheat, rice, and vegetables. There are 5 other social classes than farmers. There are rulers, which consist of kings and emperors; nobles, which are high-ranking class or royal family; craftspeople, this included bronze and jade workers, potters and stonemasons; and traders, a social class that consisted of merchants and some people who traded and sold what everyone else made. And last but not least, slaves working for the rulers and nobles. In ancient China, technology was amazing. The ancient Chinese were advanced and are some of the blueprints for modern technology. The most famous piece of technology and invention that the ancient possessed was the abacus, the printmaking system, the compass, gunpowder, and paper making. People lived in rows of rectangular houses laid out in rows, built of wood and rammed earth. In the center of the city, there was a big palace or temple on a high earth platform. In Chinese politics, they ruled in a monarchy fashion. They were led by either a king or an emperor.
The Indus River Valley, also known as the Harappan civilization, was one of the world's first great civilizations. It was first settled around the same time as Mesopotamia in ancient Egypt, in what is now Pakistan and western India. Something unique about this civilization is how well planned out everything was. The people here didn't use their time building large monuments and structures. Instead, most homes had their own running water and a drainage system. Their mud brick houses were also carefully planned and laid out in towns. The sewage and drainage systems were way more advanced than the contemporary urban cities in Mesopotamia. Since their homes were built of brick, they protected against noises, smells, and thieves. There are a few theories about how the Harappan civilization, social classes, and government were organized. The 2 main theories about how the government were organized are: 1, early Indus civilization had no rules, and everyone had equal status, and there was not one ruler, but one for each city. 2, religion played a large role, and the priests shared the higher power with a political figure like a king. It was likely that the society was more of a combination of the 2. In a lot of ancient societies, religion played a large role, and some of them didn't have that many clear-cut rules or laws. The theories about the social classes in the Indus River Valley are very similar to the ones about government. The first theory is that everyone had equal status. The contrasting theory is that the society was a caste system with 4 main classes. At the top were Brahmins, which were priests and kings. Kshatriyas were next, which were warriors and aristocrats. Then came Vaishyas, which were cultivators, artisans, and merchants. And at the bottom were Shudras, which were likely peasants, serfs, or slaves if they had them. The idea is that the citizens were born into classes, and they were very rarely moved up or down. Some things that support the idea of Harappan being an equal civilization is that they are practical people who focus more on the well-being of the community than the rich, dead, or a king or emperor. Also, there are very little weapons or injured bodies found, so I think that they were a peaceful civilization. Although the Harappan people had many tools like stone and copper drills, and the streets were laid out in perfect grid patterns like modern New York due to precise measuring and weighing system they developed, most of their technology was focused on aiding agriculture. Since their economy was trade-based, they grew many crops, including cotton, that they exported to other civilizations, using pack animals, riverboats, and bullock carts for transportation. They also made beads, necklaces, bangles, seals, textiles, plates, and pottery that were produced by specialized artisans in the major towns. The tools, jewelry, and pottery created by the artisans were used for trading as well. The seals, pots, and textiles found by historians show that they had a writing system consisting of 400 to 600 distinct symbols and pictures. The symbols read left to right, and the seals were used to keep family records, documents, contracts, and other official documents. The seals also showed historians that religion was relevant in the Indus River Valley civilization. They believed in the afterlife, but unlike other civilizations at this time, they believed that their resources were more valuable in circulation among the living than on display and buried underground. This may be another reason for why it's hard to pinpoint a lot of exact facts about this civilization.
Bam.